This is the fighter plane the head of the German Air Force personally blamed for losing the war. It was built from scratch in barely 100 days. For 2 years, it was mediocre, until one British test pilot swapped its engine and turned it into the deadliest fighter of the Second World War. It could fly from England to Berlin and back, something nearly every expert said was impossible. And when it finally did, the safe skies the Luftwaffe had counted on for years vanished in a single spring. This is the story of the P-51 Mustang, and how a plane nobody asked for broke the back of the German Air Force. The story begins not in America, but in Britain, in the spring of 1940. The Royal Air Force was bleeding. Britain needed fighters faster than its own factories could build them. So it turned to an American company, North American Aviation, with a simple request: build us more of someone else's fighter, under license. North American made a bolder offer. Give us a few months, they said, and we'll design you a better one from scratch. The British were skeptical, but they were desperate. What happened next became legend. North American's engineers rolled out the prototype, the NA-73X, in roughly 100 days. Not 100 days of drawings, 100 days to a real airframe sitting on the tarmac. By late October 1940, it flew. It was sleek, it was fast, it was full of clever ideas, and it had one fatal flaw. That flaw was its engine. The early Mustang used an American Allison engine, and down low it was superb. But the air war over Europe was not being fought down low. It was being fought 5 and 6 miles up, where the bombers flew. And up there, the Allison choked. Its supercharger simply couldn't breathe in the thin air above 15,000 feet. The power collapsed. The fast, beautiful Mustang turned sluggish, exactly where it mattered most. So the Allies shrugged and used it for low-level reconnaissance and ground attack. For 2 years, the finest airframe of the war was wasted, a thoroughbred hauling cargo. And it might have stayed that way, if not for one man. In the spring of 1942, a Rolls-Royce test pilot named Ronald Harker took a Mustang up for a flight. He loved the airframe, and he hated the engine. Harker had an idea that sounds obvious now, and was almost heresy then. Tear out the Allison and bolt in Rolls-Royce's masterpiece, the Merlin, the same engine that gave the Spitfire its bite. The Merlin's 2-stage supercharger could breathe where the Allison suffocated. The result was not an improvement. It was a different aircraft. Where the old Mustang made around 1,100 horsepower at 12,000 feet, the Merlin made nearly 1,400 at over 23,000. Top speed leapt past 440 miles an hour. At 30,000 feet, the new Mustang could outrun the old one by 100 miles an hour. America licensed the Merlin and mass-produced it, built, of all companies, by Packard, the carmaker. The thoroughbred finally had its heart. But raw speed was not what would win the war. Range was. By 1943, the American daylight bombing campaign was in crisis. Unescorted B-17s and B-24s were flying deep into Germany and being slaughtered. Their fighters could only guard them part way. At the German border, the escorts turned for home, and the Luftwaffe fell on the bombers the moment they were alone. The Germans had built their entire defense around a single assumption: that no small fighter could reach the heart of the Reich and still get back. The Mustang shattered that assumption with something almost insultingly simple: disposable fuel tanks, slung under the wings and dropped when empty. With them, the Mustang could escort the bombers all the way to the target and all the way home. In March 1944, for the first time, American fighters appeared over Berlin, a round trip of more than 1,000 miles. The Luftwaffe could not believe it. And then a new commander, General Jimmy Doolittle, changed the rules. He told his fighters to stop hugging the bombers. "Go hunting," he said. "Find the German fighters and destroy them in the air, on the ground, wherever they hide." The Mustang stopped being a shield. It became a predator. The reckoning came in late February 1944. In a span of days, the Allies called Big Week. Wave after wave of bombers struck the German aircraft factories, bait the Luftwaffe could not ignore, and waiting above them were the Mustangs. The Germans could replace machines. What they could not replace were pilots. In Big Week and the brutal months that followed, the Luftwaffe lost a staggering share of its airmen, its veterans dying faster than its schools could train new ones. The German Air Force entered a death spiral it would never escape. By the time the Allies stormed the Normandy beaches in June 1944, the sky above them belonged almost entirely to the Allies, air superiority paid for, in large part, by the Mustang. After the war, Hermann Göring, the man who had built the Luftwaffe, was asked when he knew the war was lost. His answer named no battle and no city. He said it was the day he saw American fighters escorting bombers over Berlin. The plane nobody asked for, built in 100 days, saved by a borrowed engine. The P-51 Mustang didn't just protect the bombers. It broke the back of the German Air Force, and it never gave it back. If you want more stories like this, the machines, the people, and the turning points that decided the Second World War, subscribe to the channel. Every episode is built from cited historical sources. We'll see you in the next one.